Formula One's new all-time record holder for most Grand Prix victories, Lewis Hamilton, has racked up some memorable wins in his time, and we decided to count down the best of them. At 10, it's the 2013 Hungarian Grand Prix. A nice place to start, with Hamilton's first of 71 wins for Mercedes. 2013 proved very much to be a bedding-in year at Mercedes for Hamilton, as the German manufacturer focused its development on the switch to hybrid engines for the following year. Mercedes' fortunes were improving, and after a near miss due to a dramatic tyre blowout at the British Grand Prix, Hamilton finally took his first victory in silver at the Hungaroring. Having beaten Sebastian Vettel to pole by less than a tenth, Hamilton turned in a peerless drive with some mighty tyre management to claim an unexpected win despite pre-race fears that Mercedes would struggle in the hot temperatures. In ninth, the 2007 Canadian Grand Prix. Having started the 2007 season with 5 consecutive podium appearances, Hamilton claimed both his first pole position and maiden win at the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. Hamilton outpaced McLaren teammate Fernando Alonso by nearly half a second in qualifying and fended off the Spaniard's attack into turn 1, before increasing his lead throughout the opening stint of the race. Hamilton was not unsettled by 4 separate safety car periods, including one following a massive airborne crash for BMW's Robert Kubica, and drove calmly throughout to seal a historic victory and move into the lead of the championship. At 8, it's the 2018 German Grand Prix. Hamilton arrived in Germany trailing Vettel in the championship standings, so when a hydraulic failure in qualifying left him 14th on the grid, with Vettel sealing a home pole, it looked like damage limitation would be the aim for Hamilton. But Hamilton was able to carve his way through the field before a late rain shower flipped the race on its head. Hamilton inherited first place when Vettel crashed out in the slippery conditions, having led throughout. He held off a late attack from teammate Valtteri Bottas before Mercedes imposed team orders to safely ensure a 1-2 finish on home soil. Hamilton's unlikely victory was remarkable and a perfect example of never giving up. He enjoyed a 38-point swing in his favour and moved into a championship lead he would never relinquish en route to a 5th world title. At 7, out of title contention, Hamilton laid down an early marker as the King of COTA when F1 visited Austin for the first time back in 2012. Joining Vettel on the front row, Hamilton initially dropped to 3rd behind Webber, but surged past the 2nd place Red Bull racer a few laps later. Hamilton kept Vettel honest and had closed to within 3 seconds after both drivers made their one and only stops. This was when Hamilton finally pounced. After hunting down Vettel, Hamilton launched a successful attack on lap 42, seizing his chance when Vettel lost momentum behind a back marker. With the help of DRS, Hamilton blasted past along the back straight. Vettel tried his best to get back on level terms, but Hamilton beat him across the line by just 6 tenths. At 6 is the 2019 Monaco Grand Prix. Amid a dominant start to the 29 season, Mercedes had to deal with tragedy when its non-executive chairman Niki Lauda passed away in the week leading up to F1's star-studded Monte Carlo race. Despite the team struggling around the tight streets of Monaco in recent years, Hamilton beat Bottas to pole for an all-Silver Arrows front row lockout. Hamilton, sporting a Lauda tribute helmet, came under massive pressure from Red Bull's Max Verstappen throughout the 78-lap encounter and was struggling on badly worn tyres after a strategic error from Mercedes not to switch him onto hards. Nevertheless, Hamilton held his nerve to claim his 3rd career victory at Monaco with a drive that the late Lauda would have been proud of on an emotional weekend. At 5, it's the 2011 Chinese Grand Prix. During the peak of Red Bull's dominant spell between 2010 and 2013, Vettel had qualified comfortably on pole ahead of the McLaren duo of Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton. Both McLarens got ahead of Vettel at the start, but the German fought back to repass Hamilton before leapfrogging Button at the first pit stop when McLaren lost out. Hamilton had his work cut out, but that failed to stop his charge to victory. First, he overtook Button with a brave move down the inside at turn 1, before pulling off further passes on future Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg and Ferrari's Felipe Massa, having made his 3rd and final stop. Hamilton rapidly reeled in race leader Vettel and caught the reigning world champion by surprise with a brilliant bold dive at turn 7 with just 4 laps remaining to snatch an excellent win. In 4th place, it's the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix. After being involved in 2 straight title fights, 2009 saw a dramatic downturn in fortunes for McLaren as it dropped down the pecking order following a major technical regulation overhaul. A win looked out of the equation for much of the season, with McLaren's MP4-24 running well off the pace, resulting in the reigning world champions managing just 9 points across the opening 9 rounds. But in Hungary, Hamilton pulled off one of the standout drives of his career by claiming an impressive victory from 4th on the grid. Having immediately jumped Vettel at the start, Hamilton then passed the other Red Bull of Webber and began his hot pursuit of Alonso. Hamilton's job was made slightly easier when Alonso's Renault shed its tyre following a pit stop problem, promoting him into the lead, though he still had work to do as he went on to finish 11.5 seconds up the road from the sole running Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen. In third is the 2014 Bahrain Grand Prix. Mercedes enjoyed a dominant 2014 season, having aced the V6 hybrid engine change, but that did not stop one of the most entertaining races of the past decade from taking place in Bahrain's first ever night race. Hamilton made up for missing out on pole to Mercedes teammate Rosberg in qualifying by stealing the lead on the run to the first corner, and then fending off Rosberg's immediate fight back at turn 4. However, a late safety car period eroded Hamilton's advantage and resulted in the pack being bunched up, with Rosberg just behind him on soft tyres that were faster and grippier than the hard compounds Hamilton had on. During a thrilling 10-lap sprint to the finish, Hamilton came under intense pressure but somehow managed to resist multiple assaults from the German to claim his second victory of the season by little more than a second at the checkered flag. In runner-up spot is the 2018 Italian Grand Prix. Hamilton immediately went on the attack from third on the grid behind the Ferraris at Monza and pulled off a sublime around the outside pass on Vettel for second place at the second chicane that left Vettel in a spin and facing the wrong way as the pair made slight contact at the apex of the corner. The World Championship leader then briefly got past pole sitter Raikkonen on lap 4, but the Ferrari driver hit back straight away to reclaim the lead. Hamilton made a second move with 10 laps remaining and swept around the outside of Raikkonen with a clean pass into the first chicane. Hamilton pulled clear to seal a comprehensive win, having single-handedly overturned Ferrari's straight-line speed advantage with a brilliant demonstration of his abilities in wheel-to-wheel combat. Hamilton's best F1 victory has to be the 2008 British Grand Prix. Hamilton arrived at his home race amid a poor run of form, having failed to score at each of the previous 2 races, which had seen him drop to 4th place in the championship. Qualifying did not go to plan, with Hamilton left to settle with 4th on the grid as his McLaren teammate Heikki Kovalainen took pole. The race started in treacherous wet conditions, and a stunning getaway saw Hamilton surge past Webber and Raikkonen and even challenge Kovalainen for the lead into Copse. Kovalainen kept his nose ahead, but his lead only lasted 4 laps before Hamilton dived past at Stowe, sending the crowd into raptures. From there, Hamilton turned in a wet weather masterclass to claim his first British Grand Prix win by over 68 seconds as he lapped everyone bar his fellow podium finishers. It remains the largest margin of victory since the 1995 Australian Grand Prix. Do you agree with our rankings? What do you think was Lewis Hamilton's greatest win of all time? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Crash F1.